I'm Bruce Matson, and today we're going to rank the rookie wide receivers into tiers so we get a good idea on the player values going into this year's NFL draft, and we're getting ready for that rookie draft season, getting ready to snipe these wide receivers in our rookie drafts and everything else. But let's take a look at the tier maker here. And again, we're ranking these guys into tiers, and each tier, these guys are very close in value. So in your personal ranks, you can rank them how you want. But if you like to diversify, if you play in different leagues, tiers help you out a lot because this allows you to mix up your portfolio to where you don't have too many of the same players on your team. You don't have too many Quentin Johnstons when you could be having Jordan Addison on a few of your teams, or Marvin Mims versus another wide receiver like Josh Downs. You're not overweight on a certain players, so drafting in tiers allows you to mix up your teams a little bit, allows you to get a little bit of everybody on your portfolio. If you're playing in just one league, you know what? Set your rankings to how you like them and get your guy. That is my main advice to that. But we have the tier set up with A1 and A2. A1 and A2, those tiers are very close together in value, very talented players, and there's just one thing separating them out. And we're talking about Jaxon Smith-Njigba in A1. And the reason why he's A1 right now is because he is pinned by me and by a lot of people as the wide receiver one of this class. This isn't like a studly wide receiver class. We don't have any proclaimed Justin Jeffersons, Jamar Chases in this class. But all in all, the consensus has them there, and that's where the market's got them valued at. And you got to put in the market value into the player rankings because when the player starts to hit, that means the value is going to increase even more, so you want to play with that. And we all know he's talented. We all know how good he is on the field. We've seen him play in the slot there at Ohio State, that huge game against Utah in the Rose Bowl. It's a shame he didn't get to put together some numbers last year due to injury, but here we are. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, very productive when he was on the field, showed a lot of flash during his freshman season, high-end 5-star recruit. Everything is really checking out, and we know we're going to get the first-round draft capital. The question is, how high is he going to get drafted? But considering a lot of people, or most people, or 99% of people are feeling very good about him, I think he separates from the other A-tier guys. So let's split up A-tier a little bit. And A-tier here, A2, the second group, has Quentin Johnston in it. And I like this guy. He's a deep threat. He's aggressive after the catch. He had that big game against Oklahoma during his sophomore season, that night game where he just blew up for multiple touchdowns, making it rain in the end zone. Also very productive. Good breakout age, broke out at age 18. Productive throughout his career from a market share standpoint. Had a best season this year with over 1,000-yard receiving. And Quentin Johnston really blew the doors off at the combine with the vertical, jumping out of the building. And he's just a guy that's hyper-athletic who can really get it done. There are some issues in this game, his nuanced play. However, how he wins is at the catch point. After the catch, blown by the defense. And he's also a bigger wide receiver who's also strong at the catch point. Something different in the class. Not all wide receivers should be the same. And speaking of that, Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison, a smaller wide receiver but very shifty. Moves good in a phone booth. Very productive throughout his collegiate career. He blew up at Pitt and had a good season at USC. So he broke out with 2 collegiate programs. Something we like to note with these high-end prospects. Excellent highlight tape. Good hands. Pegs as a slot receiver plus a little more. What I'm saying is he probably will line up a lot in the slot, but can be on the outside as well. Good ball skills. Plays bigger than his size. He has a 170-some pound frame to him. But at the catch point, this guy brings it home. Has very sticky hands. One of the reasons why Kenny Pickett got drafted in the first round, you're looking at it. He is probably the main culprit there. And another wide receiver, little thicker frame at around 183 pounds, is Zay Flowers. Dude's got speed. Dude can get downfield. Aggressive at the catch point and is also very nuanced. Very comparable to like Tyler Lockett when it comes to his game. And the thing is, you know he's going to get air yards wherever he goes. He's going to get the opportunity to go down deep, get targets his way, and then he also has the ability to just break off routes, create separation. Lot of good stuff in his game. And I feel like he needs to be in Tier A with these top guys. And it's really mix and match for a lot of people. Some people have him a little higher in this. And then some people have him more in like a Tier B scenario. But for me, I see the nuance. I see the play style. I feel the draft capital's coming to where he's probably going to get drafted in the first round. Hype's good. Combine's good. Highlights good. Film good. What I saw during his collegiate career when I was watching him play in real time's good. Same with Addison. Same with Johnston. Same with Jaxon Smith-Njigba. These are Tier A players. Now we're going to Tier B. And you know what? They're strong prospects, but not as strong as the Tier A guys, but not too far off. And we got some interesting players here where they can really push some of these Tier A guys, but there's something in the works in each profile that keeps them away from it. But you can tell from looking at each one of these players that they could really go off at any point in their career, and you don't want to sleep on them. First guy I'm looking at here is Marvin Mims. Dude's got 4.3 speed. He's got ball skills. Produced early in his career, productive throughout his career, played with Spencer Rattler when he was in a tailspin and still stuck with the program. It came back the next year and proved to everybody that he's still good. That's something you want to look at, a guy who's tough, willing to be loyal to his collegiate program, not hit the portal, and to come back and still play well. That quarterback tailspin they had there at Oklahoma, and this guy comes back and plays well, had one of the parts, and he's nuanced, and he's been proven to be productive. Looks like he should get decent draft capital. I wouldn't peg him to go in the first round, second round, third round, somewhere like that. Probably day 2, somewhere in there. Somewhere in there, he's going to get drafted. And when he does, if he goes to a good situation, his dynasty value will increase. It won't decrease too much if he goes to a bad situation because we know he's loaded with the skill set. But all in all, Marvin Mims is a good player. Another player people like is Josh Downs. And we like Josh Downs. He's in Tier B. He's mixed with Mims. Remember that. It's not a one-for-one situation. But Josh Downs here, early breakout age. Good production profile throughout his career. Played with some good quarterbacks. Played with Sam Howell. You know him from the Washington Commanders. Played with him in his early days. Then Drake May, who's going to be a first-round pick next year. One of the top quarterbacks in college football right now. Will be second quarterback draft in next year's draft behind Caleb Williams. Mark that down. But Josh Downs, though, good at the catch point. Good ball skills. Sneaky part of his player profile is him climbing the ladder a little bit, reaching out, bringing home the catch. And he's very nuanced. He can create separation, especially on them out routes. Those sharp cuts that he has to make on the route. He can sell the route as well. Pegged as a slot receiver, though. Spent 90% of his snaps in the slot during his career at North Carolina. That's not a bad thing, though, in the right offense. With the right quarterback, with a good wide receiver in the offense, he could really be a productive player. A guy you want to look at in fantasy. Should get decent draft capital as well. Pegged to be drafted somewhere in the second round. Somewhere around that area. And another wide receiver that could get drafted kind of high. That's flying up boards all offseason was Jalin Hyatt. He was mocked in the first round, a lot of mock drafts this offseason, but he's starting to calm down right now. Looks more like a second rounder. We'll have to see when the draft actually happens. He was pegged for elite 4.3 speed, but ran in the low 4.4s at the NFL Combine. Dude's got burst, though. Showed that in the vertical jump and the broad jump. Dude can jump out of the building. He's still an athlete, and the low 4.4s is still mighty fast enough. And the thing about this, he's slight, only 1 year of production. So there is a lot of green in his game. Not super nuanced, but wins with speed, wins with athleticism. Could be a good get in the right situation with a quarterback that likes to throw it downfield, likes to push the air yards to his wide receiver. When we go to Tier C, we have wide receivers here that are very talented, that in the right situation could really give you a good ROI, a good return on the investment. And that's what you want with these prospects. The first wide receiver in Tier C is one of my favorites. I've had him higher all offseason long, but you know what? I just want to be conservative. Kayshon Boutte. And honestly, that 29-inch vertical doesn't sit well with me. Due to him coming back with that injury and playing this year, and I understand the production, but I don't know how far along he is with his health. I don't know where he's at with that. I don't know where the headspace is at. But I do remember that freshman season, especially that back 9 of that season where he just went off. And it came back during his sophomore season. He went off. One of the top wide receivers in college football. And when I say one of the top wide receivers in college football, I'm talking like a player that should be here. I'm talking about a player that should be up here. But we got that injury. And then 2022 didn't go his way, didn't go our way. And now we're left wondering what the future is going to be with Kayshon Boutte. Is this going to be a lost player for us in Dynasty? Or are we going to get a resurgence? And this is a conservative move right here in C. All in all off season long, I'm going to be honest with you. I've had him moved around from this A region to this B region, back and forth. And you know what? I'm going to put him here. And think about him, though. When it comes to like the second round of rookie drafts and the upside you're chasing here, might be still pulling a trigger, might be still drafting him pretty high, because if we land on the upside, you're getting a top-tier Dynasty asset, where some of the other guys in the middle rounds, second rounds of your rookie draft, you might not catch that. You may need some other things to happen for you to get that. Kayshon Boutte, you're waiting for him just to return to his old self, which is something that's very interesting in its own standpoint. But I'm honestly waiting for the NFL draft to tell me what to do with Kayshon Boutte. If they draft him day 2 or a little higher, then yes, I'm going all in. He's up in B tier. Honestly, if he falls in the draft, depends on how late he falls in day 3. If it's early day 3, C tier. If it's 6th, 7th rounds, I'm scared. I'm scared. It's later than that. But let's talk about some other players here. It's not the Kayshon Boutte show. Cedric Tillman. Interesting college profile, college career. Remember 2021, he had a run of games where he was going off. He was making huge plays, making big-time catches. And then he got hurt last year, which really caused this guy named Jalin Hyatt, to go off as well. But Cedric Tillman here, playmaker. Good size, too. Good at the catch points. Really nasty off the curl routes. Guy creates separation. Really, if he goes to the right team, gets good draft capital, they could be a sneaky guy in this year's draft. Honestly, because what if he returns to his old self? That's kind of almost the storyline here. Guys just coming back to their old self or coming back through something in Tier C. That's what we're looking at. Cedric Tillman does have some goods in his game. He does show that he can have some potential. So he's a guy you don't want to sleep on. Next guy I want to talk about is one of my favorites in this year's class. One of my favorite upside guys. Probably could be a later round pick. But C tier, I'm chasing upside. Trey Palmer. Former 4-star recruit that went to LSU. Sat for a bit. Then transferred last year to Nebraska. Instantly produced when he got to Nebraska. He gave us over a 30% market share of their passing production. Looked good on the field. During that opening game against Northwestern, that's all the announcers talking about, how excited they were to see Trey Palmer with this team. And he did what we were hoping to do, and that was go off. Trey Palmer's a guy you want to go after in the back half of your rookie drafts if you're looking for a cheaper wide receiver. Another cheaper wide receiver that you may want to look at for a slot guy is Parker Washington. This guy broke out early in his career, very productive from a market share standpoint, considering he was sharing the field with Jahan Dotson. He was still able to hit those basic market share thresholds, over a 20% market share of Penn State's passing production early in his career. And you know what? He's a big, thick wide receiver who's very good at the catch point, can really bring it down when the ball's in the air, over his head, off to the side, a guy on him. He is very reliable, and guys who are slot receivers, who are cheaper in the draft, sometimes work out. That's what you're getting with Parker Washington. Upside's not super grandioso, but honestly, we're in Tier C. Tier C, you should not have those expectations, honestly. But when you're looking at a player like this, we have some markers. We got basic production here, baseline, and we got a guy with good size where we can see how they can win on the field. Another guy with good size here, we're going to round off these rankings, is with Xaxier Hutchinson from Iowa State. This guy just produces. Very productive wide receiver at Iowa State. He is an older wide receiver prospect. That's one thing you want to know. Older wide receiver prospects tend to have a lower hit rate at the NFL level. But on the other hand, though, once he got to Iowa State, he started to produce. He transferred in from a smaller collegiate program, came to Iowa State, took over a bigger, rangier wide receiver, solid catch radius, a guy that's been hovering up and down the rankings all offseason long. But let's remain conservative with him in the rankings. Let's see where he goes in the draft. Let's see how the NFL likes him. And the NFL draft's going to let us know what they think about him. Because if they do, they'll pull the trigger early. If they don't, they'll just fade the player. But those are the rookie rankings in tiers for this wide receiver class. Let me know in the comments below who you trying to get in your rookie drafts this year. Also, make sure you check out dynastyleaguefootball.com and 4for4.com for more fantasy football content. And smash this video right here for more Dynasty fantasy football videos for you to consume. I want to thank you for watching, though. Catch you on the next video.